Your 20s are your golden years, the years filled with energy, time, and no responsibilities. And this is why it's the perfect time to set yourself up to relax in your 30s. And by doing the things that I'm going to talk about today in your 20s, you're going to be thanking yourself big time when you reach your 30s.
I want to thank me.
And the first thing that you should be doing in your 20s to become rich in your 30s is saving as close to 20% of your income as possible. By doing this, it's going to set you ahead of everyone else for a couple of reasons. The first reason is as simple as it's just going to get you in the mindset of keeping your money first, paying yourself first, and being financially free. And secondly, I don't know which one it is. Saving money at an early age will grow much larger than if you start at 30 or 40 years old, and that's because the amount of money you invest isn't the tool. The real tool that's going to help your money grow exponentially is actually time and how long you invest your money, and that's because of compound interest. The average salary in America right now after taxes is about $55,000 a year or $4,500 a month. If we were to start at 20 years old and put away 20% of our monthly income, which is about $900 every single month, into something like an S&P index fund, which returns on average 10%. In 20 years, by the time you reach 40 years old, that will grow to about $620,000 while only investing $215,000 of your money. Now let's say you started 10 years later. You started at 30 years old, but you doubled the amount of money every single month. So in the end, it's the same amount of money. You invest double the money for half the time, so 10 years rather than 20 years. And with that, you would expect that it has grown to that same $620,000, but that's not the case. Because you didn't give your money enough time to grow, even though you invested the same amount of money, it only grows to $344,000, which is about $300,000 less than if you started 10 years earlier. And that's why it's so important to start investing early, because compound interest is on your side. Whether it's $1, $10, $100, or $1,000, make sure you're investing what you can. I chose the 20% because that falls within the 50-30-20 rule, which we talk about in a different video. Now the next step that you should do in your 20s is probably the biggest enabler, which helps you reach all the other steps, and that's picking a right career. By picking the right career in your 20s, this allows you to get a reliable source of income that you can funnel into other investments, other rental properties, other businesses, and so on. Picking the right career depends on a few things: how flexible you are with your time, your location, and many other things. Which in your 20s, you're probably pretty flexible because you don't have that many responsibilities, you might not have a family, and you might not have kids to raise. This would be the time to take on those extra shifts, take on that job that's a bit more intense, requires more work, requires more energy, because this way, while doing that in your 20s, will set you up in your 30s. When I say pick a career, I guarantee you 99% of you guys think I'm talking about college, but that's definitely not the case. College is a good route and a reliable route to get a good, reliable income, but it is not the only way. Many people don't want to work a corporate job. Many people don't want that 9-to-5 routine, so you can go a different route, opening up your own business, becoming a plumber, an electrician, or something in the trades world. You can also become something like a real estate agent where you control your fate. You can work as much as you want in order to make as much as you want. It's more about what you're willing to do and what you're willing to work for. Now, once you've established that career and you've settled into that career and you're making a steady income, it's now time to build multiple streams of income. We all know not to put all your eggs in one basket, because if you had all your eggs in one basket and that basket falls, there go all your eggs. Establishing multiple streams of income could start with building a side hustle or a business you're doing after your work hours. The era of the internet makes it so easy to start a business nowadays that you can make practically anything work. You can start with as little as $100 and sometimes even no money at all. There are freelancing websites that allow you to pick up one-off jobs like Fiverr and Upwork, which you could take advantage of. You can also do something as simple as cutting your neighbor's lawn or walking their dogs if you're a dog person. The opportunities to make money in 2023 are endless, and this is something you should definitely be taking advantage of in your 20s. The next stream of income that you can develop is investing in index funds or other stocks. I say index funds because these are really easy to get into, and this is something you can automate so you don't have to spend too much time on. By investing in something like an S&P index fund in your 20s, you're going to thank yourself big time in your 30s. Now, the next thing you need to do in your 20s to set yourself up for your 30s is open up a credit card and spend money on it. Did this guy who's teaching me to be rich tell me to open up a credit card and spend on it? Yeah, I'm out of here. Hold up. Before you leave, let me explain. The reason why I tell you to open up a credit card and start spending on it is to start building your credit. See, unfortunately, the bank doesn't see you as a person, the bank sees you as a number. And that number is called your credit score and ranges from 300 to 850. 300 to 579 is considered poor, 580 to 669 is considered fair, 670 to 739 is considered good, 700 to 799 is considered very good, and then anything above 800 is considered excellent. In order to get your credit score up, you need to show the bank that you're reliable and you can pay off your debts when you're issued one. This could be done by opening up credit cards, spending what you can afford on it, nothing more, and paying that off every single time, never missing a payment, never paying a late fee. Once you get a head start on building that credit in your 20s, you'll be able to qualify for different types of loans in your 30s to buy cash flowing assets like rental properties. A good credit score not only decides whether you're eligible for a loan or not, it also decides whether you're getting a 3% interest rate or a 20% interest rate. And on top of that, by spending on your credit card in your 20s, you're racking up all those points, which you can use to pay back your statement, get back as cash, or travel for free, just like I do. This next one is going to affect every single 20-year-old at one point in their life, and it's probably the hardest one to follow, and that's avoiding lifestyle inflation. So you graduate, you get your first big job, you're exposed to big money, and all of a sudden you think you need a new car. That's lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation is when your expenses unnecessarily go up because your income went up. It's the idea that more money means more money to spend on random things like Amazon Prime Day. And especially in your early 20s, it's very easy to fall for this for two reasons. The first one is, like I said, you're exposed to your first big job and you're exposed to a different type of money that you're used to having. And number two, in the world of social media, it's so easy to get caught up with what others are doing and wanting to keep up with the Joneses. You see your friend on a fancy vacation, you see them purchasing the newest iPhone, the newest clothes, the newest car, and you think, why can't I do that? I mean, you probably can afford it, but you're not going to be saving money, you're not going to be investing for your future, and you're really going to regret that in a few years when you realize none of that stuff matters. You would rather save it and invest it and have that money work for you in your 20s and then cruise through your 30s while everyone else is still busting their trying to make it through. Avoiding lifestyle creep is also going to tie into our next one, which is avoiding bad debt. See, debt in itself is probably one of the biggest wealth killers in America today, and that's solely because of interest. Interest is the fee that you're paying to the bank for having that debt. That is not money that goes to your statement, that is not money that's paying down your loan, it's strictly a fee out of your pocket that's going to the bank. On something like a car loan right now, this is going to range from 6 to 10% depending on your credit score. On the other hand, consumer debt like credit cards is about 25% right now. That means every year you're paying 25% extra to the bank just for holding on that balance. Take 25% of your salary and throw that away. That'll really show you how big of an effect interest has. But sometimes it does make sense to take on debt, and this is what we would consider good debt. Good debt is when you're taking out a loan to purchase an asset, which will enable you to make more money than you're actually spending on interest. So if you're taking out a 5% loan to buy a rental property that's going to produce 15%, that makes sense, and that's good debt because you have a net positive 10% return on your money. But unfortunately, one of the biggest debts that a lot of people in their 20s face today is student debt. Getting ahead of this debt in your 20s, making extra payments to get that payment down and not losing money towards interest is something you should definitely do in your 20s. This way that loan doesn't drag on to your 30s and you're not going to be losing so much money. And you can pay off these loans early by focusing on making as much money in your 20s as possible. Hold up, let me rephrase that. Focus on ethically and legally making as much money as possible in your 20s without going crazy or burning yourself out. That doesn't mean putting all your money on black trying to triple it at the casino, or putting all your money in the biggest crypto coin trying to triple it. It means taking on the extra shifts at work if you have spare time. It means putting your money in investments if you have extra money laying aside. This way your money's working for you and growing even when you're sleeping. And the last thing that you should focus on is having a long-term outlook. You should not care about getting rich quick. That will never work. Focus on a long-term mindset. This means buying stocks or buying index funds and holding them for the long term. Don't be trading, don't be gambling your money, don't play the lottery. Don't think you're going to have one viral video and open up a hype house and make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. Have a long-term outlook and work towards that outlook. So if you're sitting here and thinking to yourself, you mentioned index funds, but I have no idea what to invest in or where to even start, watch this video next.